Good evening. Here's a little 10-gallon planted apisto update. And just for the heck of it, did a pretty thorough update on the 12 yesterday, so I think tonight we'll do take a look at the 10. And this tank is operating smoothly. Everything's fine. Everything's intact. All the fish are alive and healthy. The only real changes are plant growth and fish growth. So those are positive changes. Nothing's been added, nothing's been taken out. Did a little trimming, took out all the lily pads, and these remaining here are from the banana plant, which is also a lily, but I left those because they weren't blocking too much light, and what they did block was okay. So like I say, all the fish are doing fine. Haven't lost any fish. Everybody's still alive. Cockatoos are still thriving. There's the male, right on cue. And I got the 3 Borellis in there, and I think I see one up there in the right corner. And I see them around. They're not as boisterous as the cockatoos, but they're around and healthy and thriving. And I was a little worried about their growth rate, and Sean the breeder said this is the way they're just a slow growing species. So I'm not going to worry so much about them now. But yeah, they look healthy. I'd like to see them eat more, but I don't know. I think they do all right. They're small fish. They're picking around the tank and chewing on stuff all the time. There's one to the left. All the neons are healthy, fat, happy. All the groups, I kind of bought them in separate groups to build the school, and I'd say for the most part they're all caught up to each other. There might be 1 or 2 smaller ones, but as each day goes by, they're not much smaller. So I think all the neons are pretty much filled in and full grown and thriving. Some of these guys are just... I haven't fed yet today, so they're on their skinny time of the day. But some of these guys are pretty robust. These are some of the healthiest neons I've both kept myself and really ever seen. That one there's pretty fat. It must be a female. Kind of looks like they're loaded with eggs, but I don't know. So yeah, they're doing very well. Same with the embers. They seem to be thriving, doing fine. Always jetting around the tank. Haven't seen any dead bodies of those at all. There's a female cockatoo. She's a nice yellow one. Lemony yellow. Hanging with the male. Which I think the male might have two ladies. Because there's that one. And then I do believe, if it's not the same one, there's another one. Right there, sitting on another clutch of eggs, I do believe. So I'd say the cockatoo apistos have adapted nicely to this tank and continue to thrive and do well and look beautiful. Got a nice sword plant coming in. So root tabs do for you, man. It's an ocelot sword. That'll end up having to come out eventually, I'm sure, because that thing's going to get pretty big. But nice contrast now. Yeah, my tank's dirty. My tank's got a little algae in it, but I don't know. Used to worry about that, but I'd say from this viewpoint, I don't really see too much to worry about algae wise. It looks pretty fine to me. got some old catappa leaves breaking down in here, and I don't plan on taking them out. They're just gonna work their way down into the sand. What I have for a substrate here is fluorite black sand and black diamond blasting sand. It's about a 50-50 mix, and it always separates. The fluorite goes to the bottom, black diamond sits on top, which is just fine because the black diamond actually looks a little better than the fluorite, so that's fine. Roots are in the fluorite. You know, people complain about fluorite being dusty, and this is black sand, so it was dusty, but I rinsed it a couple of times, but I didn't go crazy on it. I put it in the tank. There was lots of sediment and stuff, but you let it sit, and it does this. You know, when I threw it in, the black diamond and the fluorite it was all one mix. It was all stirred up together. It just naturally separated like this. So yeah, there's lots of dust and stuff in there, but you know, I kind of wanted to hang on to that because that's kind of like my soil. I think it's worked out well. If anything, I would have made it a little deeper, but I had so much fluorite and so much black diamond, and it made do at the time, and it's making do now, but yeah, I would have made it a little deeper if I had a choice, but that's what I had. So yeah, let's zoom in. We're going to see plenty of algae in there. A little hair algae hanging off there. I'll pick at it every now and then, but I don't know. I'm sure some of these Java fern leaves could be probably trimmed back and eliminate some of that older algae, like that Anubias leaf back there with them stupid little snails, which, I don't mind snails, but those things are kind of ugly. So yeah, I could probably nip off a few Anubias leaves and a few Java fern leaves, and we were kind of going to train this lily into just being a submerged plant instead of letting it shoot runners up to the top. And once it starts doing that, it seems like it maybe just kind of converts, and it kind of puts its resources into making more lily pads, and then eventually making flowers. So I think it kind of makes the submerged part of the plant kind of secondary to the top growth, and it's not as attractive. So yeah, it's cool. I like the lily pads. You know, I have a couple of these in a bigger tank. You probably let one do lily pads and one do the submerged growth. But yeah, when you let it go to lily pads, it kind of turns into a water lily, and it wants to flower, and all its business is going on up top. So best start training it to be fully submerged. And I was just thinking though the other day, seems like every tank I've had is, you know, you got your initial startup, and it's a little rough at first, but then once any plant you have that has top growth or immersed growth that connects to the root system and the substrate, it seems like once you get that immersed growth, you get that connection between the substrate and air, I guess, atmosphere. Seems to kind of lock in the tank or really help establish the tank and help it mature. And it just seems like kind of a threshold that once you get some immersed growth, it's kind of a time when I just see it really beneficial, especially for a newer tank. I think with older tanks, it's probably not as critical to keep that connection between the substrate and the air. But for newer tanks, it just seems to help it a lot, I guess, is the best I can describe it. But yeah, seemed to help this tank, seemed to help in other tanks that's happened with me, or other planted tanks. You know, if you're running CO2, it's probably not as much of a benefit as if you're not running CO2. Like, this is no CO2, and I think just hooking it up with the atmosphere is kind of a gives it kind of a kick in the pants, or maybe not supercharges it, but really helps it a lot. Helps it advance. So anyways, oh man, long video for me, so get it done early, get it uploaded early. Maybe it'll be done this evening at a reasonable time. So that was just my update on the 10-gallon tank. It's doing well. I just really nothing to say other than it's doing well. I'll probably do a water change. It never hurts. Wouldn't be a bad idea, but if it doesn't have a water change, that's fine too. I've been testing my water. It's been coming out right on the money every time. It's been just fine. So I think I probably do water changes when, you know, the readings tell me I don't have to, but still do them. I think it still helps. Can't trust all test kits. Maybe they're just giving me a perfect reading because that's what they all read all the time. I don't know. Seems almost suspicious, but that's what it's telling me. It's right on the money. So yeah, my favorite pretty little tank. Even though it's a cheap little $10 10-gallon tank, I still at this point prefer it over the 12 long, just because it's more mature, it's older, more plants. Plants are bigger, plants are more established. But even so, I just think it's a really nice tank, and it's going to be one of my favorites for quite a while, I would imagine. So anyways, I'm babbling, getting in weird positions, holding this camera here. So my 10-gallon tank, little stranglers playing in the background, both are good. That's it for tonight. Thanks for watching.